Welcome back to another edition of Arizona Wildcats Insiders Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Hutchison, and we are getting closer to Arizona football kicking off its game at home, high noon, against Oklahoma State as the Wildcats try to get back to their winning ways after starting the season 3-0. This last time out, Arizona hit the road against Iowa State, number 14 Iowa State, and fell in a lopsided game 39-14. The 25-point blowout is another road loss underneath the belt of Brent Brennan. That makes 4 straight road losses dating back to last season, and all 4 being in blowout fashion. Slow starts have caused the Wildcats to those results. You look at Iowa State, they fell down 22-0 early on. They scored a touchdown right before half, making it 22-7. You're thinking maybe they get a little momentum. Maybe they had a little mojo back. And then all of a sudden, Iowa State scores 2 more touchdowns, and it was pretty much over from that first touchdown of the second half for the Wildcats. A lot of issues. Noah Fafita was not great, even though his completion percentage was his best of the season at 67%. He did not look sharp. 2 turnovers, 2 interceptions there. Those are his first 2 turnovers of the season. A couple missed throws where he threw the ball a little too high, a little too behind the receiver. Even when he completed passes for catches, it wasn't in stride. If he hits them in stride, they're going for 15-plus yards, some of them going for 40, 50-plus yards, and maybe even to the house. Now, all that being said, the receiving core this season has dropped 11 catches, 11 passes. That's a high number in 4 games. That's an extremely high number. And they had 3 or 4 against Iowa State this past Saturday. So Arizona has a lot of issues to fix on the offensive side of the ball. I thought the line played okay. I know it was their best PFF grade of the season thus far, but I really thought that Kansas State game, they played a little bit better than this past game against Iowa State. Now, defensively, this is their worst performance of the season. Arizona's been one of the better defensive teams in the country. They were holding teams to 8.7 points per game coming into the game, which was a top 5 defense in terms of points per game, able to create havoc in the backfield, to create turnovers, this and that, tackles for loss. Iowa State, 39 points. And it really came against their best position group. Again, in my opinion, Arizona has the best secondary in the Big 12 and a top 15 secondary nationally. And they got picked apart. They got shredded against Iowa State. Rocco Beck made some incredible passes, as Danny Gonzalez pointed out during his press conference. But when you complete 70% of your passes and you have 6 explosive plays that tally 182 yards, can't have that. Can't have that. Now, with that being said, they still haven't given up a passing touchdown this season, but you can't have those explosive plays out there on the field. Now, a couple of them, they were going to make the play. They made a tremendous play, but a good handful of them, a good chunk of them, were very preventable, and Arizona just played poor defense against Iowa State. So that led to that. Again, special teams unit, I feel like we're talking about this every week. Give it an F. It was terrible. Field goal kicking, you missed a field goal there. F's a little too hard, maybe a D, but you missed a field goal there. Michael Scott-Medina's got the yips right now, and I don't know how you get over it. He pushed it wide right. Now, albeit the snap was poor. It was a poor process to the kick, but you got to make those. You got to make those kicks. And then, punt return was okay. Couple of weird fair catches where you could have let the ball travel, and all of a sudden it's a touchback. It's more yardage for your offense. And then punting, I thought that was the best that they've done all season. Isaac Loveson, Australian punter, did a terrific job, averaging 44.5 yards per punt. He had one waddler that went about 30, but he also had a high of 52. So I thought he did a terrific job there and really put Arizona in a good position defensively, even when he was backed up against the wall. All in all, though, a very poor game for Arizona. They fall to 3-1 on the season, 0-1 in the Big 12. And now this Oklahoma State game is the get-right game that you need. Oklahoma State comes in with a coaching change. No longer Mike Gundy after 21 years leading the Cowboys. His former offense coordinator is now the interim head coach. They fired their defense coordinator. Not sure how much that really helps you, given that you're not going to make too many changes this season. And this coaching staff will not be here very long. Let's just say that. I'm sure the interim coach wants this job, but they're going to go out and get somebody. I don't expect anybody on this coaching staff to be there next season for the Cowboys. So it's a get-right game for Arizona. Now, we're also getting closer to the start of the college basketball season. The red and blue game is going to be on Friday. It's going to be a terrific game. Always fun to watch. Always an eventful showcase. You're going to have DJ Diesel after the game, tearing it up. That's going to be fun to watch. But I want to talk about Arizona's Big 12 schedule. They got a gauntlet. And you know what? That's how the Big 12 is. The Big 12 is the best conference, top to bottom, in college basketball, and it's not even close. Sorry, SEC. I think the SEC is very top-heavy, near the top. When you talk about the Floridas of the world, you talk about Kentucky, you talk about Alabama, Auburn, although Auburn just lost their head coach. I think they're very top-heavy. I think top to bottom, the Big 12 is a better conference, more physical conference, and has better coaching top to bottom too. Very elite level coaching in the Big 12. But as we look at the Big 12 schedule, there are 3 games that I am extremely excited for. And if you're an Arizona Wildcat fan, I don't know how you're not just foaming out the mouth getting ready for college basketball, because it is going to be exciting. It's going to be a great season for Arizona, for the Big 12. And it's high-level basketball, high-level, high-physical basketball, and it doesn't get better than this. So let's start off with Arizona hosting BYU. Why is that the number 3 game of the season for me in this loaded Big 12? Well, if you went to Arizona BYU last year, it was one of the best games in the conference last season. 96-95, 2 high-powered offenses, 2 up-tempo head coaches going back and forth, trading bucket for bucket for bucket. And you know what? The defense, it wasn't showing up that day for anybody. But man, was it a tremendous game. And it ended in controversy. If you remember correctly, Trey Townsend got called for what really was a tic-tac foul. Very, very horrible foul call. Sent BYU to the line for the win. They knocked down both free throws. Game over. So you come into this year, both coaches are still there. They have top 5 recruiting classes, both head coaches. You have the number 2 player in the country, and AJ, and I can't pronounce that last name for BYU, but tremendous player. Played for Coach Tommy Lloyd in the USA Junior National Team as they won a gold medal. And then you have Arizona, Koa Pete and Brandon Burries. These 2 freshmen are going to be probably starters this upcoming season. So it's going to be fun to watch. That's going to be a great game. Number 2, I couldn't pick between which one, so I cheated a little bit. Let's go with both Kansas games. Kansas at home, Kansas on the road. Anytime these 2 programs meet up, it's must-see TV. You're talking about the best programs in the Big 12. Number 1 and 2, Kansas being number 1, Arizona being number 2. By far the 2 best programs, most historic programs. They've played a lot of basketball over the years when Arizona was in the Pac-10 and Pac-12. A lot of NCAA matchups. And last season, you saw Arizona go into Lawrence, Kansas, and walk away with a loss. Very close game. It was a great atmosphere, a great game. I was there watching that game. And then they beat them in the Big 12 tournament, which is basically in Kansas's backyard, being in Kansas City. What a tremendous game, though. These 2 programs are, again, the best in the Big 12. Any game that they play, must-see television. That's why it's number 2. Number 1, though, Arizona-Houston. On the road in Houston. They only played once, and it's in the second half of the season, in the Big 12 season. I think these 2 teams are going to be competing for the Big 12 title. I think it might come down to that game, and man, is it going to be fun to watch. If you watch the game here in Tucson, Arizona held their own. They went punch for punch with Houston, but they couldn't overcome that Houston defense. They got smothered in the end. Houston won. Then in the Big 12 tournament, Arizona went punch for punch. It was a 1-possession game in the final 3 minutes. let it slip away. They couldn't handle that Houston defense again. That Houston team went on to go to the national championship game and choked it and lost to Florida in the end. But it was a tremendous team. Calvin Sampson is one of the better coaches in college basketball, one of the most underrated coaches in college basketball. Tommy Lloyd, high offense, high tempo. It's going to be an exciting game. I think it's the best game of the year in the Big 12. And I think you're going to see the conference maybe decided that night in Houston. So it's must-see television. That's why it's number one. And we'll have more coverage of Arizona football and Arizona basketball as the week moves along. But, man, you can hear those balls bouncing in Tucson. You can hear the sound of the net, the swoosh. You can hear the roar of the McHale. Arizona basketball just 33 days away. And who can't wait for that, man? It's going to be an exciting time here in Tucson.